Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next live presentation from ORA Minerals. Please note you can submit questions in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Scheduled Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Kleber Cardoso, Chief Financial Officer of ORA Minerals, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol ORAAF and on the TSX under the symbol ORA. Welcome, Kleber.
Thanks, Cecilia, and thanks everyone for giving the opportunity to present to you our minerals and our story. To Cecilia's introduction, my name is Cleber Cardoso. I'm an economist originally from Brazil, and I've been with Aura Minerals more than 5 years now. Aura Minerals is a mining gold and copper producer with focus on the Americas, which it trades our shares not only on the OTCQX and TSX, but also on the Brazilian stock exchange, the B3 stock exchange. So, as an introduction, snapshot on why to invest in Aura. Aura was the top stock performance on the whole TSX in the years of 2021 and 2022. Comparing to the last 3 years performance of the whole TSX index. We are a growing company. We are in the middle of our growth curve. We grew our production by 87% since 2018. And with 3 new mines coming online, we expect to deliver an annualized growth of another 90% until 2025. So I would say we are a growth story that we're in the middle of the growth curve, which on one hand gives us credibility that we're delivering what we're promising to the market, but also indicates an opportunity that there is more growth to come. We are, as anticipated, focused on the Americas. Right now, we have 4 operating mines and several projects. I'm going to go more detail in the next pages. And besides being a growth story, I would say we are also a dividend story. We have a dividend policy where we pay dividends twice a year, every June and every December. We returned 6% in dividend yields in 2023 and another 6% in dividend yield, including share buybacks in 2022 to our shareholders. And in 2021, with a 13.5% dividend yield, we were the highest dividend payer in the whole gold mining sector across all exchanges, not only TSX. Here, a quick overview where we are. As I mentioned, America's focus with several assets. We can see here on the right side page of the chart that we have several assets, 4 mines in productions, the ones that we're highlighting in red here. In one called Aranzazu. This is mainly a copper underground mine in Mexico. Today is our largest operation. Other than this underground copper mine, we have 3 gold mines, open pit gold mines, one in Honduras called Minosa, and we have 2 open pit gold mines in Brazil, one called Apoena, and in production since August this year, Almas. These 4 mines together, they produce 236,000 ounces of gold equivalents in 2023. Of which roughly 30% of our revenues in 2023 came from gold, as most of our assets are gold assets. Other than those 4 mines that are currently in production, we have here in the map several other projects in different stages of development. Going forward, we have 2 projects in Brazil in which we already completed the feasibility study. We already have all the license to build, and one of them actually we did start building, which is called the Borborema project in the Rio Grande do Norte. That's a gold, also is going to be a gold mine in the northeast of Brazil. And finally, in our pipeline, our business case, we have Matupá, which is going to be our sixth mine in production by the end of 2025, and we expect to announce start of construction by later this year. So overall, with when the six mines they hit full production, we're going to be able to reach annualized production of 450,000 ounces of gold equivalent, which is going to represent the 90% increase that I mentioned before in our portfolio. Other than that, we have beyond the 25, beyond the 26, we have some projects which you call then exploration projects. One of them is a copper project called Serra da Estrela here in blue in the map in the north of Brazil. Toda Fria is a gold project in Colombia, which we're still understanding a little bit better the geology. We're still doing more exploration, and we expect by 25, 26, when we have six mines in production, they could be also additional steps to grow the company. Before going more details a little bit about our story and the future of our opportunities, I'd like to share with the audience this concept which we call ORA 360, which is the framework we reproduce here. This concept, this framework, ORA 360, it summarizes the values of the company and the commitments we have with our main stakeholders, which are our employees, the community and the environment which are part of, and of course, our shareholders. This framework was first built together in 2017 when a new management stepped in the company. And then last year, in 2022 and 2023, with the participation of the entire company, we improved this concept. Basically, literally, this page is in all our internal and external presentations. I would say it's pretty much part of our culture. It invites us, before we make any important decision here at ORA, we should look for any potential impacts to our employees, the community environment, and also the shareholders, and think and rethink if that's the best decision. I would say this is pretty much a very strong part of our culture, and certainly is the main pillar for our success so far. A quick history of ORA before jumping to what comes ahead of us. ORA was a company first, a junior company listed on TSX around 2007 as one of those main junior companies. By between 2007 and 2016, our market cap did improve and remain more or less the same. The company was underperforming. We had minings in productions, but there were no positive cash flows, underinvestment in geology. So what happened in 2016, there was a change in control. The company was undervalued, and then a Brazilian group, very traditional investors in the mine spaces. There were one of the creators, for example, of Yamana Gold. They saw an opportunity to acquire the control of ORA and first build a turnaround story, and then later a growth story with the company. So we see here in 2016, between 2016 and 2019, when we look into our stock performance, it was somewhat flat, but there was a lot of homework which we were doing. Some very high yield debts were paid, some with annual costs over 20% were prepaid. There were some capital injections. We sold some assets that didn't make sense to our portfolio. We brought some newer newer assets, newer projects, but with very interesting returns, which I'm going to go next in more details. And then finally, in 2018, we were able to see some cash coming in the company, EBITDA improving, results also improved. And then in 2020, we started the second phase, which we call it the growth phase, in which the company listed its shares also on the Brazilian Stock Exchange. We started approaching the markets in all different jurisdictions, also to tell the story of this new ORA. We started to pay dividends. The first dividend was paid by the end of 2020. The previous 13 years, no dividend had been paid. Acquire new assets, increase the life of mine. In like I said at the beginning, we're in the middle of this growth curve, but we can see, of course, the market already recognizes all the work that has been done. There was a 25% increase in our share price so far. What's interesting to highlight is this Brazilian group, Brazilian investors. They have today about 55% of ORA. They started this transformation and haven't sold a single share so far, which shows that they also believe we're in the middle of the story, and they do expect to see more appreciation of the company coming forwards. Quickly on this page, just showing more or less the two periods, the transformation. As I mentioned at the beginning, production did increase 87%. What I like to highlight is also on the cash cost and the all-in over the same period, especially the cash cost between 2018 and 2023. We do see some increase, but it's between 10-15% over a 5-year period, in which we saw most of the industry with much higher cost increases. And then with increasing production, at the same time, we're able to keep our cash costs reasonably under control under inflationary environment. We saw both our revenues increasing significantly because of also more favorable prices, but most importantly, our EBITDA coming from about $20 million in 2018 to over $130 million in 2022. It's 22 was already the third year in which our EBITDA exceeded $100 million. 23 were in the same direction. And that means that the company started generating cash, in which you can invest in exploration, in building new projects, and expand the company, pay dividends. That generates a positive cycle. Going forward, how we see we're going to be able to keep generating shareholder value. We see three key, what we call key dimensions, in which we're going to keep this trajectory of creating shareholder value. The first is delivering the growth projects that we promised to the markets. We had 3 main projects to grow the company and exceeded the 450,000 ounces of gold equivalents by 2025, of which I'm going to go next page, more detail. The first one was recently delivered. So the ability of building projects and delivering them on time, on budget, and getting the expected returns is going to be critical to unlock value. The second one is increasing the reserves and resources of the company. So we know, especially in gold, it's critical to have a long life of mine across all your mines. As we saw, ORA for many years underperformed, so we didn't generate cash enough to invest in geology and generating more reserves and resources. So once we started generating cash again from about 2020, we restarted reinvesting in the company. We have about 630,000 hectares of mineral properties to explore, of which I would say roughly 10% we know. So there's a lot to catch up. It's working. I'm going to show it's increasing the mineral resource of the company. But as with the growth in production, I would say also we're in the middle of our targets. And finally, it's increasing our market multiple. Despite the fact we saw increasing in the significant increase in our market cap, we still are heavily undervalued when we compare with our peers of the same size. Going one by one on those three dimensions, the first on the growth, it's very simple. Here on the left page is our production in 23. On the right page, the 450 where we want to get. So the growth, the bulk of the growth is going to come by delivering three gold projects in Brazil: Almas, Borborema, and Matupá. Almas is completed construction and is in production. We announced a capex of $75 million in 2021, delivered the project in 16 months later with only 5% capex overrun, so basically on budget, considering the old inflation in the time. We achieved commercial production in just 5 months, and this is a project with very interesting returns, an internal rate of return with feasibility study gold prices at 1,600, and considering 50% leverage will exceeded 100%, sorry, per year. So it has been a success so far, Almas. Next is Borborema, is in construction, fully funded. About 20% has been built so far, also in Brazil. Is going to come in production by early 2025. And finally, Matupá, which is going to be our final mine to deliver, is going to hit production by late 25, bringing then our production to 450. What I like to point is the three projects are very similar. The three of them are gold projects, open pit, CIL, all of them in Brazil, similar sizes, which means that not only the same team that built Almas is now building Borborema and then is going to build Matupá, but also they can bring lots of lessons learned from Almas to the other two projects, also the risking the risk of construction of those projects. The second dimension is on the, as I mentioned, on the increase on reserves and resources. We came from investing zero in exploration to about $8 million across our properties in 2018 to $25 million in the last 3 years. So we increased it more than 3 times in the same assets, the money that we're investing in exploration. We can see our reserves, despite the increase in our production, our reserves more than doubled in the same period. The measure indicate resources that comes first, that increases more than 4 times. We do expect to keep at the same pace of the investments in the next couple of years. But we see that it's working out. We're putting more money. We have potential. We have the area available to explore. So we are in the right direction. So, and finally, it's on our valuation. This page brings a few analyses that were released a couple of months ago by Raymond James. Basically, Raymond James they put together gold miners according to annual production and classify between junior, intermediate, senior producers, and so on. Here on the first chart, the chart on the top, we see that ORA is considered for this criteria intermediate producer. In looking at these numbers, we have 2 takeaways. First, as ORA grows, we do expect to move from intermediate producer to senior producer. We should expect to see our valuation, our price over NAV to improve. So basically, we see that size matters in our industry. So the more we increase, the more the NAV, the NAV, the net asset value, the investors will be willing to pay for the company. But the second main message is even before that, we have a big gap in which you can close. Now we're trading at 0.35 our share over our net asset value, while our peer group is almost double. So there is a lot that we can do. One of them is what we're doing here today, that is telling more about our story, the transformation of the company, because what we have been noticing and getting a lot of feedback is that most people haven't heard of Aura. So the more people get to know our story and we keep delivering our results, we do expect also this gap to close in our peer group. Dividends we spoke about. Finally, share structure, we have over uh, almost $200 million in cash now, a strong balance sheet, our net debt over EBITDA, despite the fact that we're building projects and that we're paying dividends, is below 1 time. So a very healthy balance sheet. Our share ownership, we have many investors, some Brazilians, some European investors, Canadians. The controlling shareholder is through this vehicle, Northwestern Enterprises, which holds 55% of our shares. And we are covered by 7 analysts, equity research analysts, 4 in Brazil and 3 in Canada, with most of them with a buy recommendation on Aura. So just overall, just to summarize what we spoke, we have a good portfolio of mine is already in production, with all of them generating interesting cash flows that with competitive cash costs, strong balance sheets to build the new projects, strong 360 culture that has been the basis of all the transformations of the company. Our performance it speaks for itself, both in terms of growth, in terms of delivering new projects, and keeping costs under control. To grow the company, we have a lot of potential, both building new projects, but also to increase the reserves and resources within the existing projects. And it seems the share is cheap when we compare it to our peer group. So it seems that we are positioned for a re-rating. So with this, I end the presentation, and I'm gonna jump up to the Q&A sessions. So first question I have here is, what can investors expect for dividends in 2024? Also, do you have an active buyback program? So the dividends for 24, we should keep our dividend policy. Our dividend policy, we pay 20% of our EBITDA minus the recurring capex, not including how much we're investing to grow the company. So despite the fact that we were building a new project, we're going to keep. So we pay every June, every December. So we do expect to keep the same pace. We did buybacks in the past. So the buybacks, we are not considering yet for 2024. Might anytime be approved if the board deems is the right time. We see the shares cheap. The buying back, there is always a double-edged sword, because you remove trading and remove liquidity from the market. So this is something that we always discuss. But in short, there is nothing yet planned, but it can happen anytime. Production goals for 2024, we will release. We do release annual guidance. The guidance for 2024 for production, owing sustaining cash costs, and capex are going to be released on February 20, together with our 2023 financial statements. So in 3 weeks, it's going to be public information. So another question: what are the catalysts for a revaluation of Aura? We so as was mentioned, I think first is very important for the market to know Aura. We spent, as is shown in one of the pages, we spent several years doing our homework and not doing any investor relations activity, which was from 2016 more or less until 2020. So it was a long period. And then by 2021, we started talking again with the market and started telling our story. So one direction is keeping doing, keeping talking about Aura, and we believe one important catalyst is going to be delivering also the Borborema project on time, on budget, as we promised. So all our growth is going to come from building and putting in production new assets. So we did the first one successful with Almas, and probably I think the second one is going to be the confirmation that we can keep growing the company in that direction. So we believe it's going to be an important catalyst as well. The share buyback, I just mentioned that. Nothing going on, but that might change at any time. Uh, so it seems, let me just double check. Yeah, I think these were all the questions. So thanks once again for hearing about Aura. You'll have the contact information of our investor relations team should you have any questions. Thanks for the opportunity, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Thank you.